How do I get started in real estate? We had a property in Gilbert, Arizona that we had under contract. It came from a wholesaler. We give it to my escrow officer. She starts the transaction. Whoa, you guys are buying a property in this zip code? Yeah. Why? It's a great deal. Do you know that the contractor that built about 4,000 homes in this zip code was sued 7 years ago for building faulty foundations? No. Pull out your pen, pull out your paper. I got notes. We're going to go through them, and I want you to write these things down so that you too can get started in your real estate journey. Number one, what we're going to do is we need to come up with what type of sandwich you want. You have to know how you're going to acquire the property, what kind of property you want to acquire, which would be the meat, and how you're going to exit or make money on that property. So I'll give you a really good example. If I'm going to do the BRRRR strategy, for example, I would still need to identify if I want to do single family, multifamily, or other types of property. So that would be the meat. But then I have to ask myself the question, how am I going to acquire this property? Is it going to be working with real estate agents? Is it going to be working with wholesalers? Maybe it's going to be working in the BiggerPockets forums and partnering with somebody in there. That is how I will acquire the property. So that's the first piece of bread. So you've got to write that down. What's my first piece of bread if I'm building this real estate sandwich? How am I going to acquire the property? A lot of our deals come from direct to agent. So we're working with agents to get those deals. The other half of my deal flow, sellers directly will call foreclosures, will call expired listings, will call a lot of these people. You have to make a determination. How are you going to find those deals? It's a first piece of sandwich bread on your sandwich. Now, the next part is, what is the type of property you want to go after? This is, again, the meat of the entire equation. I primarily, for a very long time, focused on single family properties. You don't want to go in and just go, I don't care what kind of sandwich I have, just make me something. Because I can guarantee you, you're not going to be happy with what is thrown at you. You have to make a determination of what you want first. Lastly, you have to make a determination, the last piece of bread on the sandwich, how am I going to make money from this property? It could be a midterm rental. It could be a short-term rental. It could be a regular long-term rental, or a variety of things in between. So the first thing you have to do is identify your goal. Identify this sandwich, this real estate sandwich. How am I finding the deal? What type of deal do I want? And then ultimately, how am I making money? That ultimately makes that real estate sandwich work. Step number two, identify your market. I suggest to most new investors to invest in their backyard, because now you have localized relationships, localized resources that you can start accumulating and exchanging as you do more and more deals. I look at counties across the United States that are growing 0.8% every single year. What that means is people are coming in, there's going to be 10%, usually about 10% growth over a 10-year period. It means jobs are being created. There's security. There's maybe more money charging the local communities on taxes, so there's better police forces, etc. So for me, growth is really, really important. And I see people going and investing in North Dakota and South Dakota, and I say, do you really want to invest there? And they say, well, it's my backyard. Perfect. If it's your backyard, it's a great place to start. But overall, as you scale, it's going to be hard to scale in areas that are not growing in population. So for me, Census Bureau is a really great place to verify that information. This is a risk tolerance question. I started in Arizona, which is my backyard. Other people maybe have a little bit more risk tolerance. They're tolerant to the feeling of anxiety of saying, I'm going to buy a property in Texas when I live in Arizona, and they're okay with that feeling of disconnect. When I was starting out, I was not okay with that. That was my personal decision. So you have to make a personal decision on number two. This second piece is, where are you going to invest and what are you individually okay with? Number three, you've got to figure out your financing. How are we going to buy this sandwich that we just built? I know what kind of deal I want. I know what kind of exit strategy I want, but now how am I going to purchase this sandwich? How am I going to get the money for this? And a lot of people that are starting out, they believe that financing is really overwhelming, and I totally get that. So let's just simplify it really quickly. Number one, there's going to be lenders, the lenders that we all know and like. You see Bank of America and Chase and credit unions and all of these types of things. Those lenders want to give you money to go and buy real estate. Sometimes you won't have the money to come in with the down payment. So the second type of financing comes in place, which is private money. So typically we call the lenders conventional financing, banks, hard money lenders, etc. That's conventional financing. And then if you need a down payment or construction costs and you don't have any money, you can use private money. My tips for this: go and find lenders, one, that people are using at BiggerPockets because there's a lot of verified lenders and people are going and sharing their experiences. Remember, you're not doing business necessarily with a bank. You're doing business with somebody that works inside the bank and is approving you, and you need to build a relationship with these people. So BiggerPockets, there's people that are doing these types of deals 10, 15, 20 years. There's lenders that they've been using for a very long time. So cut your learning curve down and go and borrow their knowledge by borrowing money from the lenders they're already using. All right, number 4, we want to build a team. Now, I spoke about this a little bit earlier. Every time you do a deal, you are actually acquiring something, in my opinion, more important than the deal itself. That's your team. That's your contractors. And a lot of times, people don't realize this, but you'll end up having about 50 people in your phone on every single deal that you do. Because some people don't want to just hire one contractor to handle the whole job. You'll handle the carpet guy differently, the tile person, the countertop person, the kitchen person. In order to save money, you might end up playing the general contractor on every job. That's acquiring new people and building a team. The people you need first. Here's the people I would acquire first. A real estate attorney. Why? Because you don't know when you're going to need them. Hopefully you don't need them. Who's the person that's going to close your transaction? These people will be the quarterback on your team. They will be the one taking your deal, making sure the paperwork's done, communicating with your lender that you've already acquired as well in step number 3. So again, title company or closing attorney, very important. Your title company, the person you'll be working with in there is your escrow officer. They become your friend. I go to lunch with my escrow officers. We buy them gift cards. They truly become our friends. Number 2, you want to make sure that you have a contractor so that when work starts, you're not scrambling to say, oh my gosh, I don't have a contractor, but I now have a property that I have a payment on. So make sure you get a contractor. Again, BiggerPockets Forums is a great place to go. Always get people to give you contractors through referrals and make sure that they are licensed, bonded, insured. I've learned this the hard way multiple times. Number 3, a lender. I want to get a lender that I can communicate with. They reply back. I can send them houses I'm looking at and say, am I approved for this? Can I bump up? How can I acquire this? What kind of lending do you have? Do you have any new lending situations? Number 4 is a real estate agent, because real estate agents are going to bring you opportunities frequently. As long as you follow up with them, they will continually bring you opportunities. And number 5, you want a wholesaler. Make sure that they are trained, they know what they're doing. But wholesalers are great because they'll go and work with sellers directly and bring properties to you for an assignment fee or a finder's fee. Those are the 5 people I would start out with first by building a team. And that is step number 4. Number 5 is important because now agents, wholesalers, maybe even attorneys are sending you opportunities. And as we look at them, before I say yes, I want to make sure that I know how to verify that this is an actual deal. We had a property in Gilbert, Arizona that we had under contract. It came from a wholesaler, and we open escrow, again, part of my team, my escrow officer. We give it to my escrow officer. She starts the transaction. And she says, whoa, you guys are buying a property in this zip code? And I go, yeah, why? It's a great deal. She says, do you know that the contractor that built about 4,000 homes in this zip code was sued 7 years ago for building faulty foundations? No, we did not know that. Guys, that's local knowledge. Where am I going to see that on a spreadsheet or in a forum? Local knowledge is critical. And this is why building a team in step 4 was so important. Analyzing the deal is beyond the spreadsheet. It's local knowledge, and it's based on the steps we gave you in step 4, building the team that has way more information than you. All right, step number 6. This is very important because this is where deals are made or broken. Find the bunnies. Now, if you don't know what Find the Bunnies means, get my book. BiggerPockets and I wrote a book called Wealth Without Cash, and the first chapter is all about finding the bunnies. It's the story of my first deal I ever made $25,000 on. Make sure you are finding solutions for these people. For me, in my first deal, the lady I bought the house from already had higher offers than me, but I came in and literally found the bunnies. What I did is I found this lady had bunnies that were massive. They were the size of a 4-year-old child, 3 of them, in fact. She said, I need to rehome these before I move and before I make a decision. I helped her rehome those bunnies, and she ended up selling the house to me because I built her trust. Even though there was another company that was competing and they were $15,000 higher than me, way more credible. Guys, I didn't know how to fill out any contracts or any paperwork. I didn't know what an assignment agreement was. I didn't know anything. What I did is I had my team, like we talked about. I had my team, my 5-person team that helped me go through the paperwork, open escrow, verify it was a good deal. I knew I had to buy that property $15,000 less than what that seller had as an offer. But because I helped her and I knew what her actual problem was, she trusted me. And this is time and time again, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of deals that we've done. It is always down to a personal problem that we are helping solve with the seller. With agents, if I'm working directly with agents, it's a little bit different because I'm not able to talk to sellers directly. I need to talk to the agent. Agents are not going to let you know what's going on with the seller. They're going to protect their seller's information. So remember, there's 2 different ways to go. I could go directly to the seller, or I could go directly to the agent who's representing that seller. And if I'm going to the agent, which is actually a little bit easier of a strategy because you don't have to know a lot about real estate, the agent will kind of bridge that gap for you. Also, if you don't end up buying that deal, you built a relationship with an agent that you'll end up doing multiple deals with in the future. When I'm working with agents, they're a lot more analytical. So remember, we talked about analyzing your deal and verifying it's a good deal. What I do is when an agent sends me a deal, I run it through a spreadsheet, I verify it with my team, or maybe the people that I acquired, my 5-person team, and I go back to the agent and I say, this is probably not a good fit for me unless we can reduce the price based on what my spreadsheet is telling me. Remove all emotion when working with agents and just tell them the numbers, the facts, the figures, and agents will respect that. The good agents in the business that are doing good business will respect you based on the fact that you actually ran through your numbers, verified it with your team, and more often than not, they'll give you the deal because you might also end up hiring them to list the property. Let's say if you were doing a fix and flip. 6, the negotiation for sellers is all based on emotions. Negotiating with agents is all based on spreadsheets and knowledge and knowing your numbers. Now, step number 7 sounds like common sense, but it's not. A lot of people will stop after 1 and they'll say, well, now what do? I got 1 deal. Well, you accomplished the hardest thing ever in real estate, which is getting started. Most of what you're going through when you're getting started in real estate is a mindset shift. Most of what you had to go through was mindset. And I can do this. And other people are doing this. I can do this too. I can have conversations with people that know more than me. And instead of feeling inferior or intimidated, I can actually borrow their knowledge and become their friends. This is a game of just collecting friends. That's what I do all day long. People ask me, what do you do all day long, Pace? I said, I'm collecting agents and lenders and brokers and all of these people that I get to do business with for the rest of my life. I put food on their table. They put food on my table. It's a game of collecting friends. So step 7 is rinse and repeat. Get right back in the saddle and go back to work. Go and do the thing that worked the first time. Most of it's mindset. You're going to go through moments of anxiety. You're going to go through moments of second guessing yourself. But again, this is why you had the steps written out. The team that was built for you, the verification, the analysis, all of the things that you need to do were given to you in this video. If this helped you, please let us know. Make a comment, subscribe. Let us know what we can do for you in the future. And if you want to learn more about creative finance, head over to my YouTube channel. We do a couple of videos every week breaking down deals that we're actually doing with addresses and settlement statements. I'd love to see what you guys learn the most. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please make a comment down below and what we could do better in the next video. And I'll see you next time.